Okay, so moving on to DC, starting May 11th, there is a new Red Hood comic that's coming to the Future State universe. You guys are familiar with Future State? It's basically like a possible future for all of our DC characters. This story is called Gotham, and it's of course starring Red Hood as he's hunting down heroes for the Magistrate. So he's actually working for like the oppressive new government, and he's hunting down people who wear masks. So he's hunting down the vigilantes. Um, the key highlight to this book is it's actually being done in the manga art style. So if you guys are familiar with the Japanese comic books, they're black and white. Um, it's basically what anime is based off of, is the mangas. So it's being done in manga art style. Jonathan, do you think first off Red Hood would make a good manga? And is there another American comic book that should get that manga treatment?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn about this. Growing up, I had friends that were huge into manga. That's all they would read. They didn't care about American comics.
Yeah.
And I didn't see the drive behind it, the big motivator. Like the only thing, the key I think behind it, what makes it so great is they're big. So to me, reading an American comic versus a manga is like binging your favorite show, Arrested Development, on Netflix, or having to watch each episode as it airs on live TV.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, yeah, you could sit there and spend 2 hours going through a big manga, comic that has a huge arcing story, and that's great. And that helps probably with the writing, that you're going to be able to convey a big arcing story. You don't need to leave a hook at the end of each comic and have drastic, emotional changes real fast in each scene. But I don't think that translates to American comic books. So I don't know. I can't think of anything that I think would really benefit from being a manga. I mean, story wise, everything would benefit from that, really, because you have more time to make a wider arcing story, and like we see in miniseries and stuff nowadays instead of just movies. But I don't know if people would necessarily, comic book fans, American comic fans, would take to it very well.
Yeah. The big benefit to me, the mangas that I have read, I have not read enough to be honest with you, but the things I have read is it seems like they're a little less dialogue, more action and fast, like quick cut scenes, A character I think that would benefit from that would be Wolverine. I think Wolverine kind of has this fast action scene, his face and even the way he expresses his body and claws. He expresses so much very quickly that you don't necessarily need him to talk much. You just say bub here and there and you're good. I think Wolverine would really do well. The Wolverine movie where I forget which one it is, where he goes to Japan, was fantastic. I don't know if people have watched that. I know they've probably given up on Wolverine because of the one that he did with the bad Deadpool and stuff. But watch that one. That is a very good Wolverine movie. And so I think Wolverine would do really well with the manga style. Red Hood probably will too, because he kind of has that bad cop, good cop. He's always been the trouble Robin, So it'll be really cool to see how he does as a manga Red Hood. I know I'm going to at least pick up the first issue and check it out because, it's more Batman family, so I got to check that out. The Bat family's great. So that is cool.
Yeah, I think maybe the more like detective comics or like the old school or like Sin City. I think that kind of stuff might look good in a manga, especially if you could do the black, mostly black and white, and then add that red print in certain pages.
That would be cool.
I know, Sin City would probably pop pretty good with that.
The nice thing about Sin City too is it has those a lot of those like landscape shots where it's like it looks like this empty city and your characters, or a city that's full of people, but you could still feel the loneliness in it. I can imagine that with that black and white and manga being really cool. That's a good choice. I haven't thought about Sin City in so long, John. That's a good choice. Next out of DC, more Batman news. So we talked about this before. DC is launching what's called 0 Point. This is a tie-in comic with Batman and his allies and the Fortnite universe. So it's a 6 comic run, and each issue you can get a new skin for Fortnite. The first one will be Harley Quinn, and I believe that's coming out this week. And the final one is Batman himself. I know Catwoman is one of them too. I'm not sure where you're going to get hers. I'm grabbing all of these just because I kind of was like, oh God, I Fortnite getting tied into comic books. It's like, that's, whatever. But I know these are going to be collectibles, so I might as well pick up anyways. And more Batman stories. Okay, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. Jonathan, can you think of any other way to tie in video games and comic books? Like, how could these two awesome geekdoms marriage better?
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of controversial to me. I think that's great from the Fortnite side, right? I mean, the Fortnite fans who get, a little comic book series that ties into their world, that's cool. But from the hardcore Batman fans, I don't think they're going to appreciate this much. I mean, it's crossing a platform into maybe they're comic fans that aren't video game fans and they don't care about, this little kid game Fortnite to them, is irrelevant. So then they're like, well, that kind of contaminates. If I have a perfect Batman collection, now I got to get these ones, but it's just doesn't fit the same feel of a Batman comic or something maybe. So I don't know if I like that. I mean, it's not bad to mix geekdom. I don't want it to be where I have to like for this, if the Batman story crosses over into a Fortnite video game, and to continue with my Batman story to understand where the future comics are going and stuff, now I have to go to my computer and play a certain game. I don't want that to be a future where we lock down and, if you're watching this TV show and you really like the show, but now you got to go online and, do some game online or cross platforms to continue your story, or else you miss out, or else there's a gap in your experience. I just don't want to get to that point.
So there might be a good version of this. I'm thinking of Overwatch. Overwatch gives you very little story up front. But if you wanted to, there are Overwatch comic books now. Matter of fact, right now they're doing a Tracer one. That are really legit comic books. They're pretty solid. And of course, you have all those amazing, cinematics and stuff like that. I can't stop watching. All the world building is done outside of the game itself. And so if you really want to know more about Overwatch, you don't go to Overwatch. You go to their comic books, their digital comic books or something like that. I wonder if that can be a benefit, is if video games can benefit from not having to upfront put so much information into the game and just be like, look, if you want more, not that the game's not complete, I don't want the game to not be complete, but if you want more, here are your resources. And then we have a way of like, hey, look, say Fortnite wanted to put more. Actually, that's a really good idea. Fortnite story, I don't know it. I don't know it at all. But if you were to make it into a comic book series, that would be a really good way to explain the story and get that huge Fortnite audience into comic books and supporting those comic book shops. That would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think it's great to have the comics added to the game as extra content, but neither of them be dependent on each other. Another example that we've seen actually for a long time now is books and movies. So, Harry Potter, everybody loved the Harry Potter books when they came out. They're a huge thing. And then the movies came out, and the movies, obviously have a little bit less detail than the book. But other than that, I don't think there was any point where if you didn't read the book, you don't know what's going on in the movie or vice versa.
Right.
They're, tailored to themselves a little bit. So you miss some stuff. Everybody says, oh yeah, you got to read the books, are so much better. But I don't think, it's not that marriage where you have to have both. You can have either or and not be missing out.
Yeah, it would be nice if video games doesn't mix well with anything, right? The video game movies have never been really all that great. Video game TV shows, they're working on Halo 1. They have been for 10 years. So video games doesn't play well with others, but it'd be nice if they did, because it's such a great way to tell stories. That medium where you're actually participating in the story instead of just viewing it from the outside is something that, some of the memories that I have of great stories are because I was there at them. And some of the moments where I was like, man, I don't know if I would have felt this emotionally if I was watching it. Here's a good one. I think it's Halo ODST. We're talking about Halo a lot in this episode, I'm noticing. But I think it's ODST, where, remember that final mission where it just tells you survive and you're not going to.
That is good. That is an emotional scene right there. That is intense.
And if you were to try to put that on film, it just would not have that impact. There's no way.
Because you wouldn't be as invested as you are when you're doing the moves and you're fighting the battles.
Yeah. And in that part of the game, you are actually trying to survive, and you're just like, it's fruitless, but you're just like, I have to try to. It's not like realistically, if you're to be as efficient of a human as possible, you would put down your controller, wait for those roll credits. But no, you actually do fight until you're out of ammo and just surrounded, and it's like, man. So
if there was a way to retreat somewhere you can bunker down or something, but it's just, you're going to die.
Such a good game. That might have been Reach. I'm not sure. I think it might have been Reach. That's that one. I have to double check.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it was. I think it was Reach.
Those in between Halo games are really good. Hopefully, people are playing those. Those are great games.
Speaking of Halo, that one that was really good was Red vs. Blue. You remember that?
Oh, heck yeah, dude.
That was hilarious. So that was one of the few times that video games translate into TV in a funny, way, or a good way. Now I'm thinking we should. I'm surprised we don't see very much more of indie, people just creating their own stuff like that. TikTok and things like that. funny video game little TV shows or something like that.
It did for a hot second there. I think it's called Machima. I think that's the way you would pronounce it. Well, that's what Red vs. Blue is, and Rooster Teeth, the people that made that now have a whole empire of content creators. But yeah, it was like hot for a second. I don't think it's around anymore, and I wonder if it's because people's attention is too short. Like,
that's
yeah,
why
if
you
you were
gotta
to
make
take Red vs.
TikToks.
Blue and you were to cut it down to like 30-second clips and try to put it on TikTok, they might land well. But watching that whole story is what's hilarious when you're like texting the ghost that's in somebody else's body and the one guy that's in a brown brown suit. They're trying to figure out like, wait, what side you on? And stuff. Oh, it's a lot of fun, but you need the whole story for that.
And you're right. People's attention spans, for some reason, in this world we live in now, you just can't get someone to sit down and watch a show or a movie consistently.
Yeah, they'll watch a stream for 4 hours. Somebody's streaming a video game for 4 hours. Yeah. But yeah. Man, Red vs. Blue is really good one. It's on Netflix now too. Actually, I remember I rewatched them recently. I'm just like, these are crude. The audio's terrible because it was back in the time, But man, the jokes are still to this day solid as hell. Really well written. All right, Marvel's got a couple announcements as well. Marvel has revealed the new X-Men team for the X-Men reboot comics. So this is going to have Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Rogue, Wolverine. Now this is the X-23 Vision Wolverine. So his daughter and Logan, Cinch, Sunfire, and Polaris. Jonathan, I'm not seeing my favorite X-Men in this. Who is your favorite X-Men?
Oh man, so I mean, from our time or whatever, our age group, I guess. X2 was my favorite X-Men movie.
Yeah.
So I got two favorites. Yeah. Both depicted well in the movie, but they can both still be done better if we put some money into some awesome X-Men movies. But one of my favorite is Nightcrawler. And the way he was shown in that movie. And I would love to see him tie into the new MCU when we're going magic and, demons and stuff like that, because he teleports through hell and comes back. And it's like, just they just depict it really well. I like the smoke around him and stuff like that when he goes back and forth. And
which smells of brimstone. I love that little small thing about him. And it's just so cool. And the tattoos all have like he has these tattoo scars on him that are all for a thing. Yeah. They did a great job with them in X2. Yeah, very, very cool.
The actor did good. I love the accent that he has and everything in that. So that would be awesome to see him come back. Of course, they'd probably be recasting everybody from this at this point. And Magneto. There's nobody better than Magneto.
Oh, good call.
Especially in X2, him escaping from that prison. It was just the most badass X-Men scene ever. So
yeah,
love to see him.
Oh, we should do like a top 5 scenes from all comic book movies. That has to break the top 5.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Because that was so badass. I mean, that got Ian McClellan, who's like also Gandalf. Right. We are so lucky he's on this planet while we're alive. Because man, that is such a badass scene. And then like in X3, which isn't a great movie, I'll give you that, but that part where he lifts the Golden Gate Bridge and it's just like, that's all powerful. And then Magneto, we just did the audiobook where he ends up like using a Sentinel's hand as his chair as he's floating through the sky. Magneto's dope. For me, it's Gambit. I just love Gambit so much, and he's got that kind of cocky attitude, the swagger, that works really well. They've already attempted to have a Channing Tatum movie. He still says it's on a go, but nobody else does. So we'll see what happens.
He's just walking around in costume now, just acting it up.
I would love to see a Gambit movie. I think the reason they don't use him very quickly is because incorrect people assume he's too close to Wolverine. Their accents, I can see, but everybody's like, oh yeah, he's just basically another Wolverine. He is not. He's very, very cool. And then if you go into him and Rogue, their story, there's so much there that's untouched. And you could go with the whole orphan story and with Storm and stuff. There's a lot of great stuff there. I would like to see some Gambit stuff.
He has a very unique ability, which is really cool. A lot of people just think he blows stuff up, but he charges things with the energy, kinetic energy. Yeah, so he throws it, then it can ignite or explode, whatever. But I mean, you could use that in so many unique ways. It's pretty cool.
John, do you remember a skit we used to watch often? It kind of circled amongst our friend group. And we're texting the videos to each other. Pete Holmes. Do you remember Pete Holmes skits where there was ones where he would fire X-Men? He would play Dr. Xavier, and he fired Angel, which is the one that got it real big. Mm-mm. Okay, well, I will link it in our Discord, guys. You guys got to check this out. It's really funny. My favorite one is when he's firing Gambit. And he's like, It's so hilarious because he's sitting there and he's like, "Oh, what are you gonna do if we don't have anything? We're not in a knick-knack store, and you can just start throwing things at everybody." And he's like, "Well, I got the cards. What if you drop your cards?" He's like, "Can you throw a sandwich?" And the guy's got a really great accent. He's the guy from Silicon Valley, and he's like, "I think I could get a good swing on a sandwich. It might get a little messy. The meat might fly out, but I could get a pretty good." And it's just so great. You guys gotta check that out. I'll put it in our Discord. It's a reason to join Discord, so you can check out that Pete Holmes skit. It's really good.
Quick question: if it's Gambit versus Wolverine, if Gambit is able to grab Wolverine's blades from the backside, not the sharp side, and charge him, can he detonate his entire skeleton?
Oh my god, dude! Has that been done? Oh, I'm googling that after this.
Right. I think that is a way that somebody could defeat Wolverine. I don't know. I'm saying,
man. And if it doesn't kill him, how powerful is Wolverine if he has supercharged claws? If you're like, you supercharge his claws, you have claws to throw Wolverine at somebody, and he's just coming in with those claws like ready to blow.
Yeah, every time he swings, just explodes on contact. That'd be insane.
Dang, we need to get a hold of somebody.
We gotta write this down.
That is a good idea, Jeff. I'm gonna look that up because I wonder if that's been done before. Interesting.
Yeah.
Last bit of Marvel announcements. This is really exciting to me. I'm already adding this to my pull list. I know that for sure. Called Amazing Fantasies. Now, if you guys are familiar with that story, that title, that was a classic comic book run from Marvel. It's actually where Spider-Man got his first appearance. They used to do these like one-off stories back in the old days. I mean, first Spider-Man. They're bringing the name back for a series where some of your Marvel classics have landed on the beach of a fantasy world. And there's dragons and all kinds of cool stuff. Some of the things look like it's like heavy metal album covers. It's like that kind of drawing. And how will they survive, essentially? Will they get back home? So let me go ahead and go over their synopsis. I'll just read a little bit of it because it's not necessarily just them in their prime. It's them in particular points of their life, which is also important. So you got Red Room Black Widow. Okay, so that's Black Widow while she's being conditioned to be Black Widow. Teenage Spider-Man, so that's when he's first getting his abilities and he's at his most quippiest. And then you have World War II Captain America. So Captain America before the big freeze. Okay, and this is the exact synopsis here. The most iconic versions of your favorite Marvel characters from across time and space all wake up on our island of intrigue, darkness, and amazing fantasies. Are they dead? Are they dreaming? Or have they truly been transported to another fantastical realm? And is there any way for them to return home? This isn't just a love letter to your favorite Marvel eras. It's a reinvestment in the seminal characters we've always loved, plucked from their quintessential timelines. I did mess it up until the last two words,
Quintessential is a tricky word, especially when you're reading it. Saying it's not as hard as reading it.
Yeah.
But yeah. That sounds pretty cool.
It's so neat, dude. And they released a few pages so you can read the pages. And Captain America, he like washes up on the beach. And I think it's a dragon that's coming in on him. And he just throws the shield at a dragon, and then another dragon eats that dragon. It's so freaking cool. My question for you, first off, are you going to check these books out?
Yeah, I think so. Especially if you're getting them. Maybe we'll read them. We could review them. I don't know.
One of these days, you head to the comic book shop. I'll go with you. We'll add some stuff to pull list.
There you go. Yeah.
We'll get good things going. And then we'll tweet about them too. Okay, another question. Mm-hmm. What superhero do you think would do good in a fantasy world of dragons, knights, and whatnot?
So is there civilization? Is this like Lost or whatever? One of those movies where they have to survive on an island.
There are some civilizations. There are also wild people. That's a little bit of everything. It's a mixed bag.
Because I'm thinking like we have Captain America. He would do great in social settings. So if he's with the Knights of the Round Table or something like that, he would totally make that work. He would unite people and brings out the best in humanity, which is great. But in a lost world of just dragons and dinosaurs and monsters, you want the Hulk. I mean, he will be king of the jungle. He is King Kong of that island. He will take it over. So that would be pretty cool. So yeah, I'd probably go with the Hulk.
I like that you're not like trying to get them to fit in. I like that you're just like, I want something that could choke a dragon.
Yeah, right. I mean, you got to survive. This is a crazy world. And also, I don't think of like I know you guys have talked about D&D dragons where they can talk and have in-depth thoughts and stuff. I always think of dragons as like old school monster dragons. Of course. Don't think, don't talk.
My pick to survive on this fantasy world is Tim Drake. Tim Drake is one of the Robins, and he's probably he has been called a better detective than Batman. And so I think somebody that wise would like Sherlock Holmes around. I know Sherlock Holmes isn't from fantasy world, but He would be so smart that I think he would make himself out to be the new Merlin, like Merlin or something like that. Like he would actually thrive in that world just because he's so intelligent that, like, if I were to be put back into the past and I'd be like, trust me, guys, cell phones exist. This is what they can do. And they're like, okay, we'll make one. Like, that's not a thing. I just know how to use one. Tim Drake could make one and then show them. Like, he would be the next step up from me. So, Tim Drake would kick ass back then. That'd be really cool.
Nice. I like it.